It's a normal thing for one to be scared when having a nightmare. Researchers say that nightmares are something that we need for an individual, even though they may not enjoy it. Researchers also say that if you go to bed falling asleep with an idea in your head, 50% chance is you'll end up having that exact same dream. Well, an individual has a nightmare, and that nightmare actually ends up benefiting themselves, even though that individual may be frightened or may not be frightened. It fires their cognitive thinking, helps one prepare for future events or situations. In this experience, I will show you how nightmares are actually teaching you how to learn things. When it fires your cognitive thinking, you are actually doing things in your sleep that you don't know you're doing. Nova Movies argues whether or not we would be here if we didn't have dreams. When you are dreaming, you're not actually thinking of anything, you're sending messages to your brain. Messages that are sent to your brain that may include scary things. And your brain stores these scary things and ends up putting a note to them for future events. A researcher known as Kuhn attached 16 sensors to a body, head, chest, and legs, and he also sent a tube up a nostril to monitor the breathing of an individual. He then experienced, when someone was having a nightmare, to monitor the behavior and how he could diagnose a sleeping disorder when someone was having one. When having a nightmare, since we are learning, we prepare ourselves for the future. Nova the movie, they argue that our ancestors say that they dream at night to escape from their enemies. And when they would dream at night, they would dream about what they have been happening to counter their enemies and to better prepare themselves for their enemies. They would see certain actions or strategies that would work or not work, as well as seeing the future. When having nightmares, we would see possible situations that could occur to us and what happens if we did something in a way it was supposed to or was not supposed to go. In the article Nightmare Sensories, they say without sleeping your body can't grow, and without having nightmares one can't learn from mistakes they may have occurred or may have done. Your brain and your body are working having a nightmare because of the oxygen that is being possessed from your brain. Your brain tells when you need oxygen and when you don't have any oxygen. We don't even know when we are sleeping, when we are needing oxygen, and when we don't need oxygen if we didn't have our brain. Experiencing a nightmare without our brain and recognizing these, we can't do. When having a nightmare and being able to track what happens for our body and the breathing, researchers are able to dig deeper and find out what disorders are associated with these nightmares. What disorders can lead us to or that may be experiencing? Well, Nova Movie says that 90% of nightmares are actually because of breathing disorders. Well, the lack of oxygen that is being possessed to the brain, and it starts making the brain freak out because the brain is thinking of situations that one hasn't experienced yet, and that therefore is making us learn. Having the nightmares made researchers link breathing problems to many disorders that deal with breathing. We know that something is wrong, but during our dream or our nightmare, we get to experience something that can't be real in life, and it's just not the same or something we're not used to. And it ends up resulting in a bad thing. Makes our world a much better place because we know right from wrong then, and we know what to do when we are awake and when we aren't awake. Even though having nightmares is a scary thing, it actually ends up benefiting all of us. Individuals in many ways knowing right from wrong, knowing if they have a sleeping disorder as well, and preparing themselves for the future no matter what the dream may be. Having a nightmare helps one because it also falls to escape to a real world and can help us actually happen if one takes certain actions in preparing themselves. Nightmares can expand our thoughts in our brains, but also can make our lives better by understanding the do's and don'ts in the stage of occurring a nightmare.